Look at him.
Ooh, this is good.
You gotta read an instruction manual to eat this food.
I'm hoping we get to see the Eiffel Tower.
Like, not the date, but like that they are celebrating Christmas already, because I'm not a big Halloween person, so.
Personally, I was on the hunt for some raclette, something I'd seen on a reel on Instagram where melted cheese is scraped onto toast, and that sounded divine. However, I couldn't find any at this market, so I'll have to keep my eyes peeled at future ones for this dish.
I'm a history nerd, art nerd. I would love to learn a little bit more about that and about the people.
We'll be there tomorrow!
We're gonna be here tomorrow, guys!
And the second most visited museum in the world. Does anybody know which museum this is?
The Louvre!
Yay!
You'll whip it around in the cheese, turn, and you're allowed to eat. You can also put a pickle in the cheese if you would like.
Ooh,
or an olive
good.
in the cheese.
Okay.
That's something different.
How are the people on Hinge here? Good looking?
They're nice looking young men.
Our new members are interested in the nightlife.
One of the big pulls for me for choosing Paris as an end location was getting the opportunity to visit the Louvre Museum. I had been here in 2019, but I had only been flying home from Paris, so I didn't have time to explore, but I did have time to see a couple of the big sights of Paris, including the outside of the Louvre Museum, which looked massive, and I couldn't wait to come back and see the inside for myself. Upon gaining entrance to the museum, Randy wanted to see the Mona Lisa, so we power walked our way straight to the famous painting, successfully managing to avoid the huge crowds that came later. The Louvre is housed in part of the large palace and is the world's most visited art museum. It all started in 1546 when Francis I, a great art collector, began to build the Louvre. Almost every French monarch after him also added to this endeavor. When Louis XIV moved his court to Versailles in 1682, the Louvre was no longer the royal residence, and in the 18th century, the idea of using the Louvre for a public museum came to the forefront. In the late 1900s, the ground-level entrance was crowned by the steel and glass pyramid designed by American architect I.M. Pei. With one of the world's richest collections of paintings, its collection of French paintings from the 15th to 19th centuries is unsurpassed. Among its collection is Italian Renaissance painter Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, which we saw first thing. The Department of Egyptian Antiquities was established in 1826 and is home to collections Napoleon acquired during his Egyptian campaign. Outside of the Louvre, we made our way to the Tuileries Garden for our last Christmas market of the trip. While the collectible mugs weren't as cool here as they were in Vienna, this ended up becoming one of my favorite Christmas markets. It had a great vibe and ambiance, and there was lots of Christmas spirit to go around. You could even get your photo taken with Santa Claus, although Beth chickened out. So we had just entered the Christmas market at the Tuileries Garden, and Katie had a little bit of a headache. She wanted to go get some coffee, and Beth decided she was going to go with her. I had noticed that Marcia and Warren Clayton must have kept wandering because I didn't see them anymore. So I said goodbye to Katie and Beth, and then took a couple steps, and I turned around, and Randy was gone. Like, she was gone. And I thought, oh, shoot. You know, maybe she decided that she wanted to go get coffee too. I was like, she must have gone with Katie and Beth. And I thought, well, I'll walk ahead, see if I can catch up with Warren, Clayton, and Marcia, and then I'll text the group to kind of like figure out where everyone was at. So I kept walking, and then I kept walking, and then I kept walking. Never saw them. So eventually I could see the end of the Christmas market, still hadn't seen my friends. I texted him, was like, I lost Randy. She texted back, was like, I'm with Warren, Clayton, and Marcia. And I thought, oh. So somehow I ended up getting separated from the group. I know, considering the fact that Marcia was almost kidnapped at a Christmas market in Vienna, I probably shouldn't have been as cavalier about this, but as an introvert, I can't say that I hated it. Don't hate me. But like, I am gonna be a little bit whatever about it because I travel a lot. I travel solo a lot. And I am gonna bank on the fact that unlike Marcia, I am not kidnappable, kidnap-sizable, whatever. I don't know, this might be naive of me to say, but I am 6 feet tall. I'm like 165 pounds. And I will throw down. A potential kidnapper doesn't necessarily know that, but I just feel like my size and probably the belt buckle that I'm always wearing is a decent deterrent. I felt pretty safe. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy this. So I wandered did the Christmas market kind of solo until my sister decided that she had had enough of me introverting and hunted me down. But that was okay, because it was nice to know that somebody at least missed me. I'm just kidding. It was totally fine. We did eventually sync back up. Unfortunately, it turns out that when I'm solo, I make poor purchasing decisions. They're not poor purchasing decisions. The soap smelled delicious, and yeah, actually we probably did buy too much cheese, but Katie was with me at that point, so it's not entirely me to blame. But we synced back up and the adventure continued.
The 1900s are considered the golden age of carousels, with the first merry-go-round appearing in France in the second half of the 19th century. It quickly became popular with Parisians, and nowadays you'll find about 20 carousels scattered throughout the city, mostly near major tourist sites. I included several of these on our I Spy cards. Even though they weren't horse-themed statues, I thought they would still be a fun horse-themed addition to our game. The oldest carousel in Paris dates back to 1879. The Jardin du Luxembourg carousel was designed by Charles Garnier himself, the architect of the Opera de Paris. This Christmas market had some amazing shopping, and I think almost everyone walked away with a new trinket to take home, either for themselves or for family. As I mentioned earlier, Katie and I made out with some really lovely soap with good smell and way more cheese than we probably should have bought. But it was red and green, so like, Christmas. Yay! And I should also mention, for those that are wondering, even though it's not called Glühwein anymore, Beth did get herself a glass of vin chaud, which is the French version of hot mulled wine. Another thing that solidified this Christmas market as one of my favorites is that I finally found a Christmas market that had raclette. So I got to indulge in hot melted cheese scraped onto toast, and it was everything I hoped it would be. Absolutely delicious. They heat up these pinwheels of cheese and scrape different flavors into your sandwich, so you have a couple of different flavors, and it was a win for me. I had planned for most of the day to be walking, but the group decided to shift priorities, so we took the tram, and much like my first time in Paris, we hit up some of the bigger monuments of Paris, starting with the Arc de Triomphe, located at the end of the Champs-Élysées. Inspired by ancient arches like the Arch of Titus in Rome, construction began in the early 1800s and took nearly 30 years to build. Next on our list was the Eiffel Tower. Yes, we had already gotten a chance to see it on our Seine River nighttime cruise, but I knew that the group would want to see it during the day. I had a couple of different viewpoints saved for great photo ops, so we started at Trocadero Gardens and the Palais des Chalets. The whole area is known as Trocadero Square and was built in 1937 for the Universal Exhibition. Standing at over 1,000 feet tall, finding a place with an unhindered view of the Eiffel Tower was paramount for a photo memento of our time in Paris. After Trocadero Square, we moved down to the river for another angle of this iconic monument. The Eiffel Tower was originally intended to be a temporary exhibit at the 1889 World Fair. However, people wanted it to stay, so they strapped an antenna on top and made it useful.
All right, guys. So it's our second to last day. Let's do a review. Yeah.
Doing this.
Everybody get on the couch. Get on one of Clayton's bed.
Snuggle with Andy.
No, go away.
Oh, do you want me to sit on your lap? Everything.
I couldn't believe. I thought you were gonna go sit on Santa's lap.
All right.
Slightly disappointed.
Favorite country so far?
Austria.
Europe.
Wow. You said Austria?
I said Austria.
Why?
I'll second that.
It was very clean.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. I feel like there's very beautiful parts of Paris as well, but like Vienna was so clean. There was no trash on the sidewalks, nothing. And the people were more friendly. And I feel like we spent more time there too.
Mm-hmm.
So like we got to see more.
Switzerland. Didn't know much about the country, but the flag was a big plus.
Oh. Wow. Turn it around.
Okay.
Favorite food you've eaten?
Night one, Vienna. That whatever we had that had directions. That pot of stuff.
Yeah.
With directions to eat. That was really good.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
I
My
don't
first
remember what it's
wiener
called.
schnitzel.
I think we got a second for the wiener.
Yeah,
Wiener
schnitzel,
down
and then the game hen that I had.
Whatever I had today.
Potatoes.
Potatoes were banging.
on
Oh,
ramen.
yeah,
You were
yeah.
digging in
Oh, it
But
was
like French
the.
stuff. It was amazing.
It was
Started with a
Swiss,
tea.
Yeah.
It started with a tea.
It was like the
It was
raclette,
the potato
but it was a
version
potato.
of the raclette.
Yeah,
Mm.
And it was amazing.
I had the
haven't a
raclette.
bad
It was
meal
pretty
yet.
I've had 2 meals that weren't awesome,
good. Mm-hmm.
and it was just a lot of greens.
I honestly have had spinach in my teeth every time I've eaten spinach this entire
Yes.
week and a half. Like not just one, but like blackout.
And fondue.
Oh,
That
was my
The fondue
favorite
was-
meal just
That's
because
the
of the
favorite meal,
essence
yes.
of the meal.
Fondue was a highlight.
That was my
That was
favorite
our
meal.
favorite day.
I didn't know I need pickles and cheese in my life.
Yeah,
Now you
and
know.
olives.
Now I know.
Olives is good
Olives
too.
are good.
Horseback riding.
We haven't done it yet.
That one doesn't count.
Pilates was real fun.
Honestly, my favorite activity was probably having that meal with the Kaufman.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. I just loved like sitting and visiting with them, and
It was
They
co-
pulled out
it
the
was comfortable.
scrapbooks.
yeah,
Yes,
they pulled out old
literal
scrapbooks, and we had a
Beth's
family
favorite
meal.
country was Kaufman's.
It was their house. Yeah, my favorite country was the Kaufman's house.
I feel like the ball was like its own like sphere.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's hard to top the hot rod tour for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the boat tour
you
last
wrecked
night
in that.
twice. The boat
That
tour
was
last
awesome.
night comes really close.
We were rowdy.
We were very rowdy.
Yeah, every tour we've gone on has been fun in its own way.
The tour
Yes.
guide knew we were Americans before she even got to us. That's how rowdy
Unfortunately,
we
she
were.
was
Not
standing
good, I
right in
guess.
front.
Lippes honors and ball were
Oh,
top
yeah.
two.
That was
Oh,
awesome. Every activity's been awesome.
For me, it's Beth last night when we all went out. Well, both of us just went out. For me, it was just watching that play out. I'm so glad you kissed a local guy here.
He's not local. He's from Italy. He's from Italy.
Yeah. Well, it worked out. Okay, we met him at a local bar. It was so much fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Italy
And
next.
now he's in my DMs.
Yeah, he's in
And
our
he owns a
DMs.
winery.
See, we crossed off some other bucket list things. We might make some regrets. It's okay. And then, other than that, I really like the boat tour.
Are you gonna decision your regret?
What? What?
Aside from one breakfast, which breakfasts were as a whole other game entirely, I really didn't have any bad meals on the trip. Also, our napkin art is top tier. While our Hinge girlies checked out the local population, I found myself thinking that I probably should have done a challenge card for best wingman or wingwoman, and I will say Marcia would have taken the prize.
把这一次到底是New York